Touchdown, back on road. Counting money, man, you know how it goes. Hit the VIP and tell my strike a pose. Hop in mode, hop in mode. Touchdown, man, we back on road. Spending money, man, you know how it goes. Hit the VIP and tell my strike a pose. Hop in mode, hop in mode.
Don't forget, set the bar, stick to the code.
Yo, this your boy Q Bar, and of course I'm the host of the Barcode Podcast 414. And who I have that pulled up to the show is my little bro, Jimmy SHERBURNE, man. And we can't forget he the silky smooth assassin, man. He can play some basketball, man. So thank you, Jimmy, for coming to the Barcode Podcast, bro. How you been?
Of course, man. Thanks for having me. I was looking at all the different guests you've had, scrolling through the episode history, and I got to say I'm honored to be considered worthy to be a guest. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt, man. Definitely worthy, man. But before we get into the show, I got to give you your flowers, man. He went to Whitefish Bay High School. He's an alumni there. He was All-State and Conference Player of the Year his senior year in basketball and football, y'all. So pay attention. He did multiple sports, man. And can't forget he went to Princeton University. He was a 2011 Ivy League champion, and he played 1 year professional basketball in Germany. I love it, man.
You got it.
Yeah, it sounds.
That's the rundown.
Yeah,
thank you.
Rundown. Yep. Now some trivia for you, man. If you had to start, cut, and bench Rajon Rondo, Chauncey Billups, and Tony Parker, that's not too old for you, is it?
No. I'm a historian of the game, so you can go as far back as you want. Start, cut, bench between those three. I would start. That's a good question. I'm thinking start between Parker and Billups. I'm gonna go with start Chauncey Billups. Bench Tony Parker, cut Rondo.
Ooh, that's good. You know what?
I thought about starting Tony Parker. I got a lot of respect for his game. Couldn't keep him out of the lane. So, but I think Billups had maybe a little bit more on the defensive end, so a little bit more size.
Yeah.
And maybe some leadership, good teammate. He's not going to mess around with, teammates' wives.
That's a good point, man. I'm taking Chauncey.
There you go. So, I try to take everything into account.
Yeah. That's a good one, man. With that being said, I probably would cut Tony, but whatever. But
that's fair. That's fair.
That's fair, right? Yeah, that's fair.
Rondo. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with any of the three.
Yeah, exactly. But that's your pick. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. Next one. If you had to cut one player between these four players, who would it be? De'Aaron Fox, what's his name? Gilgeous-Alexander, Ja Morant, and Devin Booker. If you had to cut one person out of them four I just named, who would you cut?
Well, I will start with who it's not going to be. It's not going to be Devin Booker. And up until more recently, it would have been really easy to say Ja out of that group. I'm gonna cut Shea just because I haven't seen him do it in the playoffs yet. That's the only reason. I think he would, but we're seeing De'Aaron Fox do it right now, so I'm not gonna cut him.
That's a great point, Jimmy. Dang, and I love Shea too. Dang.
I do too. He's great. But that's the point of the question, right? There's no easy answer.
Yeah, you're right. I respect it though, and I thank you so much for participating in that. I like to do that to, warm the fellas up, or the young ladies I have on here. So I want to warm you up, man. Now we got to get into the Jimmy SHERBURNE. Am I pronouncing your last name right? SHERBURNE?
You are. Well done. You a lot of people get it wrong. I hear the one I hear most is Sherburne. They throw an O in there. So I wouldn't have blamed you if you had it wrong, but appreciate you getting it right.
Okay.
Sherburne.
Yeah, got it. Let's get it. But no, let's get into it, man. It's a lot I want to know, man. And um, I want to know about your upbringing and who influenced you to play sports, because I heard through someone that you have like a big family. I think it's a lot of boys. I don't know, but
Yeah, I'm the middle of three boys. So not like a huge family, but three boys in the house, it can get competitive over anything, right? So it definitely played a part in shaping my competitive nature. But as far as like getting introduced to sports, that more came from my mom. My mom was a really good athlete in high school. She played basketball, tennis, track. So that's who I got my athleticism from, and she introduced me, as far as I can remember, to basketball. And then basketball was kind of on the radar. I was born in 91, so this was around 96 that she was kind of starting to teach me, 95, 96. So that's, Michael Jordan was my first favorite player. And so I was just old enough to remember seeing him in that second three-peat. So those are kind of like my first basketball watching memories. And I think for any kid who was watching around that time, that like you can't help but fall in love with the game watching him. So it was no turning back at that point. I was all in right away.
mm-hmm. All in, man. And even though your mom played all them sports, was she like tough on you? Because mothers are so like nurturing and stuff and loving and caring. But when it comes to sports, it's competitive. Like, how was it for you, like, get into basketball? Did she take her time with you, or, how did that go?
She tried. I was pretty hard-headed. So I can remember I must have been 5 or 6 and maybe even younger. And we had wherever we were playing, I can't remember exactly where, but it was a low hoop and I wanted to shoot and I was standing directly under the hoop and she was trying to tell me to back up because I'm not gonna be able to make it in. I'm standing right under the hoop. And you couldn't tell me anything else. I was going to stand where I was going to stand and I was going to try it how I was going to try it.
Yeah.
So she did her best, but I think I was a little difficult. But she also kept it very realistic with me. Like she would tell me, and this is true, so I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but she said, you have a better chance of getting struck by lightning than you do making it to the NBA. But again, I needed to hear that. Yes. So I was like, whatever, like I'm going to make it. Right. Yeah. So she was trying to set my expectations. I think you hear that and you probably think, oh, she's like killing this kid's dreams, yeah. But she knew her audience. It wasn't going to stop me.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Oh man. And now that is actually funny, dude. Like
it is. She keeps it real.
You say that to the new generation of kids, they may wait outside to see if they get like that. Like
yeah, they might.
Yeah, that's
different times.
And you said you the middle when it comes for the boys.
Yep.
You have an older brother.
My older brother is 3 years older, and my younger brother is 5 years younger. So, more so like got into it with my older brother. My younger brother was young enough that he was very much the baby of the family.
Yeah.
So, but I still like he played basketball. My older brother didn't play. Okay. So a lot of games between myself and my younger brother growing up, and I did not take it easy on him, that whole sort of thing. But I like to think it helped because he turned out, I don't know if you know this, but he played at UMBC. He was on the team that upset Virginia in 2018, the 16 over the 1, and was like, had a great college career, scored 14 points in that game. So he made quite a name for himself.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope, man. Congratulations to your brother, man. But the and it's another thing I wanted to add too, Jimmy. I don't think I ever told you this. So of course you remember we used to play basketball. Was it the old Bradley Center and the new Pfizer Forum, or was it just the new Pfizer Forum? I think it was the new.
I think it was both. I mean, I remember playing at both. The Cousin Center. Remember
Yeah, the
the
Cousins.
old practice facility? Yeah.
That's where we was playing at. And I'll never forget when I first met you, Jimmy. And I know you had to hear this before. I said, this white boy got swag. He got swag. Like, Jimmy, you so nice when we talk. But on the court, you feisty. You play the right way. You know, you got flavor to your game. And like I said, I heard from a lot of people, they like, like I told you, when I told you the other day on the phone, Flav said, oh man, Jimmy, oh man. He was real deal. So to hear that from, your peers, and then for me to, being older than you, seeing it at the Cousin Center, I knew how talented you were just playing there. You know what I'm saying? Just like I just seen the talent level, and I'm like, wow, Jimmy really can play some basketball. I just want to tell you that, Jimmy. I think you.
I appreciate that. That's very nice of you to say. And like to hear you say that, and you mentioned Flavian. A lot of like what drove me was just trying to get the respect of the people that I thought were better than me, or had the respect of everybody else. So, and knowing like the pedigree that you had playing at Vincent, '05, right? Class
Yeah,
of
oh
'05.
wow, baby.
Yeah, what a class that was. Like I knew about you guys, and so all through my career, and even after I stopped playing professionally, I still was playing, pickup, and just all I wanted to do was get that respect. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. All day, Jimmy, all day. And so when you get into basketball and you get a little older, you get a chance to play with the Playground Warriors. How did playing for that organization come about?
Good question. So the first AAU team I played for was the Milwaukee Swish. I don't know if that rings a bell for you. I played for Coach Mike McGivern.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach Mac. And so we had a great run from like third to seventh grade, got into it early. And then, as it can happen, AAU teams can fall apart. So everybody kind of went their separate ways after like my seventh grade year. So I was kind of without a team in eighth grade spring. And I ended up playing with, I played with the 15s. So I was 14 playing with the 15s with, it was like Kwame Mitchell, JD Wise, Larry Balistrieri coached that group. So that was the first playground team I played for. And that was a 1 year thing. It was tough. I didn't play a lot. But the practices were great for me because I was kind of a late bloomer physically. I probably hadn't hit puberty at this point, and I'm playing with, definitely guys who were more physically mature than I was. And we would practice with the 16s as well. So, going into high school, that was a huge thing for me, even though I didn't get to play during the tournaments that much.
Yeah.
So, and then luckily, like the next year, they put together a playground team for our grade.
Yeah.
And that was kind of became the team that we played 15, 16, 17. So like Johnny Lacey, Jamil Wilson, Jontel Franklin. I know I can't name everybody, but it was a great, I'm going to try to. Luke Russell, Steve Stovall, Bart, Bart, Vincent guy. Yep. Josh Brown at Madison, Milwaukee Madison. Nate Zastro, can't forget him, from Manitowoc. And some other guys came through. Eric Williams played in Tosa East. So that was kind of the core of that group. Thomas King, Theotis Ewell. How can I forget Theotis? That was my guy on the team. Yeah. So that was a good group.
Yeah, that's a whip. Like Eric won, didn't he? Won a state championship at Tosa East.
He did, yeah. Junior year. Yep. They had a great team. They knocked us out actually. We bumped up to Division I for one season. So we played them and they knocked us out. And I gotta mention the coach, Brian Jonikin.
Why that name sound familiar?
There are a lot of Johnny kids in Milwaukee. He's got brothers. Kevin works at Madison High School. The brother Jasper was always around. A lot of Johnnikins, but Brian was our coach.
Okay, got you. Now, when you were able to play your age group, is that when the confidence came for you? Like, or were you still kind of like, because I know you said you feel like you was like kind of a late bloomer, but once you played your age group with all them guys you just named, like, did the game start like becoming comfortable for you, or?
You know, that's a good question. I definitely more comfortable than playing that year when I was playing up. Um, but to be honest, I don't think I was ever quite confident playing AAU, not nearly to the degree that I was playing for my high school team at Whitefish Bay. Yeah, I think, I've thought about this. I think I just didn't quite have the ball handling ability, to feel comfortable. I could shoot. I was always comfortable shooting, but, it took me a long time to really kind of get the fundamental ball handling skill to feel like I can get wherever I want to get to on the court. Like I felt like my athletic ability always kind of outpaced my skill level growing up until my pro season, or like my end of my college career. I could finally felt like, okay, I can handle the ball to the point where I can get where I need to get to.
Got you. Wow. Okay.
So that just really, I think, affected my confidence on the offensive end. Defensively, I was always, always had the utmost confidence, probably a little too much at certain points, but yeah, not so much on offense.
Yeah, but look what confidence can do though. Like you did what you did at Whitefish Bay. You went to Princeton, NCAA tournament, played pro, won 3-on-3s. Confidence can take you a long way, man. So confidence is always a good thing. And I want to know this too, Jimmy. Your 8th grade year, before choosing Whitefish Bay, what were your 3 choices? Because I knew you grew up in Whitefish Bay, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So was your mindset already like, okay, I'm going to Whitefish Bay, or did you like pick 3 schools?
So I did have kind of 3 options. So middle school years, I played with like the Whitefish Bay kind of select team, which is, kids who would eventually go to Whitefish Bay High School. And we had an awesome group. We played from starting in 5th grade together. Played a ton of games. I remember 6th grade, we played like 50 games during the season. And like that, we had like a 6th grade team. We won our first 42 games of the year. Ended up going like 47-2. Right. So built up like a ton of and like, obviously those are my best friends. So that, like, they were always kind of the leader, but I did look into Dominican. I grew up a block and a half from Dominican. And obviously they had the program, at that time. And then I looked at Marquette too. My dad went to Marquette. But they were probably always 3rd, but I gave them a chance. But ultimately, just the familiarity and my friends being at Whitefish Bay. And also, I would have been playing behind Kwame, maybe not behind, probably alongside him, but there was like a little opportunity factor there too that led me to Whitefish Bay.
Yeah. Got you. Now, what stopped you? I always wanted to know this because I interviewed somebody earlier and they brought up Marquette High School. And I remember I thought about going to Marquette High School, but I didn't go because it was an all boys school. Did you go? Did you not like go because it was an all boys school? Or it was too far?
Well, I think that wasn't the main reason I didn't go, but it's definitely a consideration.
Yeah.
It's not nothing,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say that was like why I didn't go there. I think I more so went to Whitefish Bay than didn't go to Marquette, right? Like it was a positive choice for Whitefish Bay. But that, yeah, I do wonder sometimes, how things would have been different, going to an all boys school. All my friends who did go there, they loved it. So I'm sure you adapt, you figure it out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. And I'm just thinking like this is mature Quentin. Younger Quentin, it was like, no, I'm not going to all school.
Yeah, it's non-starter. Total like total non-starter. Yeah.
But now that
For young
I
Quentin,
look
yeah.
back at it, I'm like, damn, maybe that would have been a good choice for him. Like,
I'm sure you would have made the best of it. Young Quentin or mature Quentin. I have faith that you would have made the best of the situation.
thank you, Jimmy. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so you choose Whitefish Bay. And when you enter in your freshman year, did you play varsity outgate? Did you play JV? Like, how did all that go? The relationship with the coach? Like, did you know him while you were in middle school? Like, how did that go for you going into Whitefish Bay?
Yeah, I had a pretty good relationship with the coach, Dave Shaw. I can remember being in middle school and he came and helped put me through a shooting workout at the high school one time, and his wife was like 9 months pregnant, and he had to I remember he had to leave the workout because his wife was in labor. So I found that I was like, you know what, like that guy, I think he wants me to be good. Like he will, not that he missed his kid's birth or anything, but he was there, and he had to run.
Yeah.
So I had a relationship with him, and thought he was a great coach, and he was for our group. And I always wanted to play varsity as a freshman. That was definitely a goal of mine. Something I thought I could do, and was able to do that. I came off the bench and for a really good team, like ranked number 1 in the state all year. Steve Gruber, Sherrod Smith, Matt Schneck, Ted Jones, Steve Markson. Really good team. Had a tough ending to that season, losing to Milwaukee Lutheran. Derek Hankins had our number.
Derek Hankins. You're right.
Yeah. They beat us twice that year. We were undefeated. They beat us at home. We went and got these we were like 16-0 or something, ranked number 1. Started feeling ourselves a little bit. Went somewhere like on 50th and Center and got these airbrushed warm-up shirts.
Yeah.
And wore them for that Milwaukee Lutheran game at home, and ended up losing first game of the season. So Coach Shaw was like, we're not wearing those anymore. And then they ended up beating us again. Our only 2 losses of the season were to Milwaukee Lutheran. Honestly, Derek Hankins had our number that year so bad. It reminds me of Jimmy Butler, what he just did to the Bucks.
Yeah.
It was like that, just out of his mind.
That I remember coming to y'all games because I was really close with Beyonce Brown. Yeah,
I didn't know that, but
very close.
Good guy.
Beyonce Brown. Of course, I know Matt Schneck, and I knew Sherrod, but I didn't. And of course, I know Gruber too. But that was a really, really good team, and I didn't know if it was your sophomore year that you played with them, but it was your freshman year. So,
yep.
With all them guys being so talented, like they were, like how much did you learn that year, when you was a freshman coming off the bench from them guys?
I mean, hard to say exactly how much, but it had to have been a ton,
Yeah.
Just going through practice every day, because, high school, you only play 20 some games. So you're practicing every day. And I think that was hugely valuable. And not unlike playing AAU up a year. It's funny I say that I kind of lacked confidence dribbling the ball, but I didn't lack confidence putting myself in those difficult situations.
Yeah.
Right. Like trying to put myself in the most competitive environment. So, I think, that was always I always wanted to be on the best team or play with the best players.
Yeah.
And figure it out. So it was a huge learning experience.
Yeah.
Especially in Gruber in particular, he just super high basketball IQ, right? Like the guy he always knew how to play. Like I can remember being in fifth grade and going to like AAU State. Remember they used to play it at Wisconsin Lutheran College.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was sitting on the baseline watching Gruber and Jerry's DTA team play, and Gruber's just out there, eighth grade, like floor general. He just had total command, throwing lobs to Jerry. I can remember it vividly.
Yeah.
So just kind of like soaking up whatever I could from him. I think it was helpful.
Very, very helpful, man. And leading to my next question, like once them guys graduate, leave, and it's the Jimmy show, like what, like how, like I know it's a long time ago, Jimmy, and I ain't calling you old, but if you can remember, once them guys left and it was the Jimmy show, like what was your approach to that upcoming season? Like, was there any like personal goals for you, you know, as a player? You know, did you put any personal goals when it came to the team? Like, what was your goal when it was the Jimmy show?
Well, Jimmy show is a strong way to put it. I don't know if I quite put it that way. At least not not my sophomore year. We had a really young group that year. You know, I can't go through this and not mention Kevin James, Charlie Markson were two guys that I came up with. So I mentioned that middle school team. You know, that was kind of us three were the linchpins of that group. So sophomore year where the three of us started. And it was a difficult year. I think we were like finished like just over 500. So not like, you know, we were terrible or anything, but definitely like an opportunity for us to grow. I don't remember having any specific goals other than like I played, you know, my competitive level was at like 100 at all times. So
yeah,
you know, I didn't really need to have, I might have had them. I can't remember, but you know, we were always going to play, and those guys too, Charlie and Kevin. Kevin ended up being, he's a professional baseball player, got drafted out of high school. Charlie played baseball at Notre Dame, got drafted, you know, played a little bit of a pro career. So those guys were great athletes in their own right. And they like basketball. I don't know if they love basketball, but they loved it during the basketball season. So, that was a good group.
Yeah, that's dope. He got drafted out of high school from Whitefish Bay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he was like ninth round. Kevin James was.
Wow, that's good.
Big lefty pitcher. Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope.
Like 6'5". Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, football starts in August, right? I know at least practice, right? It starts in August, and basketball is right after. How were you able to juggle both of them and stay focused in school?
So our football team was never quite good enough to make it deep in the playoffs to where it would run into basketball season. So it worked out nicely that way. Like I could really kind of dive into football during the football season. I mean, I think the football was like the first, when go back to 4 years old, like that was the first sport that I loved.
Okay.
Like the Packers were winning the Super Bowl that year, 96. I can remember watching that. And, you know, I think every kid wanted to be Brett Favre, you know, or Barry Sanders was like my favorite player outside of the Packers. So yeah, I mean, I was like kind of all in on football during the season. Well, to an extent, you know, I still was in the gym getting my shots up and stuff. But as far as balancing it all, I was blessed to kind of have that come naturally to me. It just, you know, I definitely, you know, as competitive as I was with sports, I kind of was in the classroom too. Yeah. So, you know, just kind of putting that effort and making sure, you know, I just never really, it was never really a thought to me not to do my homework, right? Like,
yeah,
I had good parents to kind of instill that, but I also, just really wanted to do well at everything.
Yeah. That's yeah, man. Man, I know some kids in my school that was playing. They was running track, football, basketball. I'm like, man, y'all. Shh. Listen, I'm just well, I played baseball too, only for 2 years, but yeah, I always wanted to know how you juggle both of them because when I played baseball, I stopped after my sophomore year. I just played freshman and sophomore, and then
Gotcha.
basketball was just it was so different being at Vincent and got to be laser focused and all your energy.
Yeah.
It's like you're not thinking about no other sports, so that's why I asked you, like, because you were starting, correct, right? You were starting as a
I
quarterback.
started 2 years. Yeah.
Okay.
At least at the varsity level. I played JV and freshman in football. Um, but yeah, I get, like I can imagine that being the case at Vincent, basketball being so huge there that I mean, would Diener even have let you play football?
Well, Jimmy, you don't know. He didn't want me to play football, but I played football behind his back, tore my
Oh,
ACL. Yeah,
I didn't know that's how you tore your ACL.
yeah. Diener, he just texted me last week, Jimmy, out the blue and said, "Damn it, Q Bar, you cost me a gold ball." I said, Diener, it's 2023, man. Like,
Don't put that on me, Diener. Yeah. Can't be doing that. Like,
I
that's
said,
funny.
yeah, but yeah, I wanted to ask that, man. But so playing with the other players that you play with, the other athletes and whatnot. Um, Junior year comes around. What was some like tough non-conference game or conference games too? Like who was your rival? Like how? Like tell us more about that.
That's a good question. So, well, I can back up the sophomore year. We played, and freshman year. So we kind of played a home and home with Bayview.
Mm.
So my sophomore year, we played at Bayview, Dwight, Shane, Johnny. Um, that was a tough non-conference game for, especially that year. I think that was kind of like the weakest of my 4 years.
Mhm.
Like we hung close with them for a half. They ended up kind of pulling away. Dwight had like 30, typical Dwight game.
Yeah.
But in the North, so we played in the North Shore Conference. Um, and my sophomore and junior year, Germantown was kind of a juggernaut. I think they went to state. Well, they also went my senior year, but we'll get to that. But they had a really good team my sophomore and junior year. I think they beat Vincent one of those years. Like I think it was Marv's senior year.
Yeah, Mark Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they got put out by Germantown. So Ben Avercamp was kind of that. He was on the Germantown team. They had Rick Bowers
Yeah.
as the point guard. Did he start out at Vincent?
He
Or
started off at Vincent. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Went to Germantown and
He was a really good player for them. Then they had other guys, but I remember those two in particular kind of carrying that group.
yeah.
Who else? I mean, then like Josh Gosser came around at Fort Washington. Um, he was always tough. I mean, you could imagine. Um, Chip Rank was a really good player a year behind me at Cedarburg. Um, we always played them pretty well though. Um, and then I mentioned this earlier. We played Tosa East team that ended up winning the state championship. That was a really good group. Um, and then we played Dominican when Kwame was a senior.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was tough. They bust our ass at the Mecca or whatever they call it now, WM Panther Arena.
Yeah. Yeah.
We played like the MLK Day event there,
Yeah.
and they put it on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Them
So
fun,
those are the ones I can remember best as far as not like.
the non-conference. Yeah. We used to have our fun and heydays. When we played, I got a chance to play against Jerry Smith and Al Hansen and yeah, it was a lot of non-conference games, but I know a lot of coaches do that to, test the team, and y'all got tested, and I think it was good. Did y'all ever get a chance to go upstate while being at Whitefish Bay?
Man,
What happened?
we
Oh,
got well, yeah. So my freshman and senior year were kind of similar, where we had like number one or two ranked team the whole year. It was honestly like almost identical. We finished like 19-1 in the regular season both years. Won the North Shore. My senior year, we beat. It was the kind of us in Germantown in the North Shore. We lost to them. We had like a meltdown in the fourth quarter at their place. Beat us by 2. We missed a shot at the buzzer, and then we beat them at home. They ended up losing another game in conference, so we won the conference that year. Went into the playoffs 19-1. Similar story freshman year, 19-1, and ended up losing senior year to Wisconsin Lutheran, Flavian Davis in the sectional semis. After we beat Marshall by like 40 the game before that.
no, Milwaukee Marshall or the other Marshall?
Yeah, Milwaukee Marshall, and they had a good team that year, but we just blew the doors off of them. It was like probably the best game we played all year, and so yeah, we get to Wisco with that. That was the other team, but like 1 and 2 in the D2 rankings all year. We played them down at Waukesha South, and like we hung our hat on defense. Really, like we ran the flex on offense.
Great offense,
and we ran it like impeccably well. Like, because we've been running it since 5th grade. Like I mentioned, those teams from middle school, we ran flex all the way through. So by the time we were seniors, it was humming.
yeah.
And but I think our strength was even our defense on top of that. I think we held teams to like 36 points a game that season. And Wisco, I think, was, as good, if not better defensively. We ended up losing 36-34 that game. We were up 34-31. I think we had an and one off of an out of bounds play to go up 3. And then Flavian hit a 3 and from the corner to tie it with like a minute left, maybe. And then we didn't score again. There's a loose ball. They call a loose ball foul going for like one of my teammates dove for the ball. I guess caught some arm, puts their big dude on the line. Couldn't shoot. First free throw, 1-1, back rim up and in. And he made the second one, and we ended up losing. So that was tough.
Yeah, that's very, very tough. But I can say this though, Jimmy. I went upstate twice and lost the game to go to the championship and the game in the championship. And yeah, it's real tough because junior year we played West Matthews now, Madison Memorial.
I remember that.
Yeah, we beat King earlier that year, and we were on different sides, so we was anticipated to meet up in the championship for the rematch. We fell short. Okay, yeah, that hurt. I cried. And then senior year, it hurts more when you tear your ACL and you make it to the championship, and then you just watch your team lose again. So fun times.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who did Wes Matthews dunk on in that game?
Nick Polk.
It was Nick. Okay. That's funny. I got to know Nick really well.
Yeah. Shout out to my bro Nick too, Nick Polk.
Shout out to Nick. If you're out there listening.
Yeah.
Not to bring up him getting dunked on. I didn't know. If I'd have known it was him, well, I probably still would have brought it up.
No. Now, I want to ask you this, Jimbo. If you don't mind me calling you Jimbo. I don't know. Everybody I know this Jimmy, I just call him Jimbo for some odd reason. But you mentioned that you and your buddies. Oh snap! Sorry. You mentioned that you and your buddies been playing together since 4th, 5th grade, and I always believe that a group of kids that stay together for so long and run the same offense and know each other game is a very, very tough team to beat. And I hope this ain't going off topic a little bit, and I don't know, you may be busy, Jimmy, but
you can take this anywhere you want to go.
Okay,
it's your show.
No, but I still want to, the Jimmy SHERBURNE show, interview. But recently upstate a lot of teams with all these talents, these inner city school talents, these inner city schools that have a lot of talent on their team are losing to, teams that been together long like you. How important is that sticking together and playing with each other for a long time?
I mean, for us, it was like huge. It was like everything for us. You know, we've been doing it. I mentioned the flex offense. By the time we got to be seniors, like we knew ins and outs, like every variation. Like we didn't even have to think about it. And then on top of that, just having like that level of trust on a personal level, um, you know, trust and also wanting to do it for those guys, um, that you become such good friends with and been friends with for so long. Like, I mean, I don't think you can overstate how important it was and can be for groups that have a similar opportunity to stay together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was, yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything either. It was like, that's, I think what high school sports should be about,
Yeah.
right? Like you playing with, I mean, unless you're at a certain level, right? Like you're playing and you go to prep school, like you're that talented by all means.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But for everybody else, I think that's kind of the best thing you can hope for.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to hear that because, yeah, people always ask me these questions like, oh, well, they lost to, they were better than them. How did they lose to them? And I'm like, dude, chemistry. These kids been playing together for a long time. So I just want to ask you that. Listen, Timmy, I'm crazy. So I just had to ask that. But by time senior year, all right. So after your senior year, not after, but senior year, you fall short. You go 19-1. You get a chance to go have a state run, but you fall short to Wisconsin Lutheran. And
I want to shout out quickly
go ahead.
John Johnston from that team. He was a year behind me. Really awesome player. Like the most athletic white dude. Pretty much like any gym you go to, he's that guy, right? Like dunking on everybody, like 6'1", 6'2", right? He was, yeah. Oh, we've been playing a lot, like since after, like in adulthood. He's like he like shuts the gym down. Like people, it's crazy. And then Jamie Schneck, Matt Schneck's younger brother, started on that team. He was a sophomore, and he ended up having they won state his senior year, and he went and played at Hartford D1. So he was a young buck then, but he was good for us, but he got much better after that, obviously. So I just wanted to shout them out, the rest of our starting five.
Yeah, for sure, man. Shout out to my bro Matt Schneck. He was a late bloomer to us too.
Yes,
yeah,
he was
to us, and he had a real big influence on me signing with St. Cloud State. Like I talked to him a few months ago. Like, damn, I wish I would have just went to St. Cloud State and wound up signing to another Division II school. Played against them and they beat us by 30. But anyway,
you were into Concordia, right, in Minnesota?
Concordia,
yeah.
I remember Matt shaking my hand after the game. Him and the head coach like, just transfer back, please. And I stayed at Concordia, but whatever. But yeah, man, shout out to them, man. Them your boys, man. Appreciate that. But yeah, by the time you're all right, so senior year, you fall short. You go what you go through. What are the awards and accolades that you receive, your senior year?
Yeah. Like all conference, first team. I shared player of the year with Ben Abercamp and Josh Gosser. I was like, they got different all state teams. Like the AP, they do like first team, second team, third team. I think it was third team, where they got 5 guys on each team. And then like each division will have like an all state team. I was like D2 all state. And I think like this is an obscure one, but I was proud of this one. Was the Journal Sentinel like Preps Plus Student Athlete of the Year. I was I got like the paper clipping from that. That was one I was maybe most proud of because of the, the student part of that, I think. So
Yeah.
that was a cool one for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Shout out to Gary Howard. You remember Gary,
Is that the
Preps
guy?
Plus guy,
Yeah. I
the
just talked
host?
about him a couple of days ago. I appreciate it.
Welcome to Preps Plus, the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel high school sports show.
Yeah, Jimmy.
That was his intro.
I appreciate him. Like, I would love to interview him too, but he don't understand like, what he did for us. Especially, I don't know, Jimmy. Were you around when cell phones around, or you was? Because when I was in high school, there was no cell phones.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I had a
no
cell phone in
social
high school. Yeah,
media, none of that shit. So Preps
yeah.
Plus and going to get the newspaper to see your name in it is all we had. So I remember him coming to Vincent and doing a segment on us, and I appreciate that. So thank you for shouting dude out, man. I just thought about dude like a few weeks ago, some crazy stuff like that.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Jimmy, you know the slogan too, like the beginning. The opening.
Yeah. I mean, I watched that show like every week, at least during basketball season.
Yeah.
You had to see it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what all offers did you have, Jimmy?
Um, so I was pretty picky. I really only like by the time it got to the point where I was really talking to schools, I kind of knew I wanted to go to a good academic school.
Mm-hmm.
So, I tried to I think I can remember my kind of top goal, my aspiration being Stanford. I went out to like their elite camp after junior year and played well there with there was some interest, but just never quite enough to get an offer. Um, so from there kind of turned to the Ivy League schools. And really from the start, Princeton and Harvard were the most interested. I had interest in Yale personally because one of my good friends from high school went there to play football. He was a year ahead of me, Lars Knudsen. He played basketball too. So I was like, Lars went there. I kind of want to go there. And for whatever reason, I didn't have much interest in Harvard. I don't know. I didn't know anyone who ever went to Harvard. It just kind of seemed like too snotty for some reason, It's just, I don't know what I was thinking. Princeton and Yale aren't, but Harvard is. And Tommy Amaker was the coach there, and I can remember him calling me and just like kind of going through the motions, like talking to him, like knowing I'm not going to go there. It's so stupid. But I ended up taking a visit to Yale. They didn't really see like the guy was late getting there. Like I was like, okay, they don't want me. So really, technically, the only offer I jumped ahead. So right after that, I went to Princeton, who had been, they'd shown some serious interest. I went and took an unofficial there. Felt super comfortable, and they turned out to be the only school that I got a formal offer from. So I committed there a couple weeks later. So really, yeah, technically one offer. Wow. And that was all I needed.
Yeah, which is true. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, two things, Jimmy. First, with going to Princeton, it's an Ivy League school. Was it tough to get in there? Like what was the guidelines to get into an Ivy League school?
Yeah. So it's kind of a little complicated how they do it. Like you definitely have to have a certain, test scores and grades and stuff. So yes, like on the whole, it is tough. But like with each class, they kind of have like a point system where basically, let's say there's like 5 guys in a recruiting class.
Mm-hmm.
If 4 of the players had really, really good grades and test scores, they could get a 5th guy in without nearly as good as scores and grades. So it was like a combination of the whole class where they like they kind of took it in totality. Um, but I had my scores and grades were always like it was never an issue. So
Yeah, yeah,
I was good from that point.
yeah. Because I'm thinking like it's Princeton, right? Ivy League school, and when you think of Ivy League school, you think of the education being, top notch, and just thinking like shit, like what your ACT got to be, what your cumulative have to be, things like that. So I just wanted to ask that because I know it's tough to get in Ivy League schools and whatnot. But when
Hmm.
making your decision to go to Princeton, how supportive were your parents making your decision or helping you with your
Oh,
decision? Yeah.
hugely. I mean, um, they wanted me to go wherever I wanted to go, really. I think they tried to help me figure it out. They never steered me any direction. I can remember they brought Dennis Klein over. Remember Dennis Klein kind of
Yeah, to
was
DK.
the,
Yeah, I know
yeah.
DK. Yes, sir.
I remember him coming to the house and like trying to convince me to go to an Ivy League school because I was kind of cold to the idea at first. So they did that for me. They took me out there to go on their dime, unofficial. I never took an official visit. Um, and the other thing that people might not know is they don't give scholarships at an Ivy League. So they had to pay some for me to go there. Like they got some help through financial aid, but it wasn't just emotional support; it was financial support. Um, so I mean, they did everything they could and more. So I can't thank them enough.
Yeah, yeah. And you learn something new every day, Jim. I had no idea. And when you say they don't give out scholarship, they don't give out athletic scholarship. Do they give out like academic
I don't think
scholarship?
they give out any like formal scholarships,
Okay.
like academic or athletic. They do like grants and stuff. Um, but those are more, everything is kind of need based is what they call it. So really you the idea is that you pay what you can.
Yeah. Oh,
So like, I think they got a policy where like, if your parents make under 100,000 or, then you go for free.
like,
And then past that, it's kind of tiered.
oh, okay, okay. One of them situations. Hey, shout out to your parents, man. Like that's some real stuff, man. Like real talk. That's cold, Jimmy. Really, it really is, and I'm proud of you too, though, man. Ducking it out, going to an Ivy League school,
Thank you.
down, yeah, for sure, man. So now you at your parents' house. You go to Princeton. How you feeling? Are you feeling like you mature? Like what's your feeling when you go to this campus? You out on your own now. You know, you know, you just there by yourself, even though you got the emotional support back at home, but now you here on campus. What's going through your head, man? Like how you feeling? Coaches, are they like did you pick a major right away and what you made? I want to know all of that, Jim. So how you feeling, man?
Uh, I was super excited. Not because I didn't like being home. I loved being at home, but just I've always been kind of adaptable. You can kind of drop me anywhere and, I'll find my way and enjoy it. So I was, you know, just loving every second, although it was kind of hard. Because I had an injury. I dislocated my shoulder in the, what's it called? The WBCA All-Star game,
Okay.
that they have for the seniors in Wisconsin, and had surgery. So I was out like to start that season of my freshman year. So that kind of made it difficult from a basketball standpoint,
Yeah.
like starting at just rehabbing. But school wise, um, it was great, like right from the start. Like, and I think it got better even as I went on, but, um, yeah, I have nothing like bad or no, I mean, there are ups and downs, but my memories of that time are very fond.
Yeah. 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 That's dope. That's dope.
And I did, to your other question about like picking a major, I think, I kind of always knew I wanted to, major in economics.
Okay.
I'd taken some economics classes in high school. Um, and that was one of the majors that they didn't have like a business major or anything. So economics was kind of like always the obvious choice for me.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's good. That's good. Now, what now as far as on the basketball side, Jimmy, now I'm pretty sure you was, I don't know, were you skinny and like yo senior year
Yeah.
going to Princeton? Like for example, I played junior college and I feel like we conditioned, but after going Division 2, I didn't feel like we conditioned enough. So when I went to Concordia, I threw up the first 2 weeks in agilities. I was sore, I was beat up, my diet was horrible. What did you do to, keep up with the Jones?
Because of the injury, I I had a I really wasn't working out much. Like it was not a great start for me.
Okay.
Um, so I was out of shape when I got there. Probably the only time I've been out of shape. Um, in my whole playing career. Um, and I can remember, they had a conditioning test early in the year, like in the preseason. It's like suicides, right? You run 4 suicides with a minute and 30 or whatever rest in between each. And because of my shoulder, they wouldn't let me run. So I had to do a bike test. And the bike test was like 30-second sprint and you got to keep the RPM above 120, like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 16 times. You got to get all 16. And I did it the first time. I got 4. And I remember my coach said something. I was like, you gotta see if you can do a little better on the bike test next time. And I was like what was I doing all summer? I don't know, but I never did pass that bike test. I got like 12 the next time. Before I ever had to take it again, I was cleared. So that was that was hard.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, so basketball, like because of that, basketball was a much harder transition for me than school was. The school stuff was tough, but just not being able to play, kind of being behind the 8 ball conditioning wise,
Yeah.
and just every other adjustment a high school player has to make going to a D1 or any division level program. It's a huge adjustment. So that first semester was difficult for me basketball wise.
Yeah, yeah. And did you get discouraged a little bit knowing that you had the injury? Did you feel like you was like behind on stuff? You know what I'm saying? As far as like, because you grew up playing the swing offense, and I'm pretty
Yes.
sure, you go to Princeton, you got the Princeton philosophy. Like, how quick did you catch on to that?
I think relatively pretty quick. I was always a fast learner, especially like basketball wise for sure. But even so, like there's a process to get there. Like very few people could come in and like get it right away, if anybody, right? Because there's just, habits and a way to see the game that, you just don't really learn in high school or at the high school level. So yeah, I mean, I caught on, well enough to like be out on the floor and know what I was doing. But as far like having it intuitively, that takes years. So, and even still, like I think about how, you always, as you play, even if you're playing into your 20s and 30s, you get smarter about the game, right? So, no one's got it figured out at 18.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Now you played in front of big crowds when you played for Whitefish Bay High School. Now you playing for Princeton, a bigger crowd. How was the nerves your first game? Like, was you nervous? Was you excited? Palm sweaty?
Trying to remember who even played because it was middle of the season. I think it might have been like Wagner. I think
Yeah.
there was like nobody there. I think it was over winter break, so it was like an empty gym. I got in I think either turned it over, missed a layup, came out, and that was about it. So yeah, they were definitely nerves,
Yeah.
but there's hardly anybody in the gym. So
Yeah. Oh, okay. Jimmy said I.
honestly, like it was not glamorous. Definitely not my freshman year. I mean, we had a good team. We went like 22-9.
That's real
Um,
good.
but I think the fans showed up the following season.
Okay.
There was a little more hype around the team. That was the year we went to the tournament. So
Wow.
they showed up for that.
Yeah, yeah. Now during the regular season, your sophomore year, like how was your performance? And apparently your team performance was good. Y'all made it to the NCAA tournament. That's the year y'all won the Ivy League. Y'all were the Ivy League champions. This 2011. Yeah. How was your sophomore year on the basketball side, and how was your were you healthy because you just coming from shoulder injury? Like how was your sophomore year?
So I got one more thing to add about
Oh,
the crowd
oh,
environment. I've heard, just to kind of paint the picture.
yeah.
I can remember freshman year, one of our first home games, looking over and seeing the cheerleaders sit on the baseline, like sitting like cross leg, pretzel leg, and having like textbooks in their lap during the game, like reading. That was kind of like the
Yeah.
norm. Yeah,
Yeah.
at best, that would be like maybe during timeouts they get up, but during the game they were in the books.
Oh my God, that is so funny. Oh my God. Hey,
So I had to throw that
sophomore
one in
year
there.
was better.
So yeah, sophomore year was better crowds, but so even and then this is all kind of tied together. I played like 2 games freshman year before when I came back. I came back like I cleared at Christmas, played like 2 games, and then I got mono. So I basically missed the rest of that season.
Okay.
Um,
Now, was
Came
that
back like
because of like team rules or NCAA?
no, I was sick. Like, and when you get mono, like your spleen enlarges. So you have to be, and if you like hit your spleen when it's enlarged, you could die. Right. So you have to be like, very careful about when they let you back. So I missed like 6, 7 weeks with mono. So that basically wiped out my whole freshman year. And then before sophomore year, I had torn my meniscus football season in my senior year, but never had it operated on because I could still play and I didn't want to miss my senior year of high school basketball. So I just said, I'll deal with this when I have to. And then that turned out to be like right before my sophomore year at Princeton. It just started swelling up, had to get the quick surgery. So I started that year recovering from surgery as well. Um, so that didn't help, but we also had a really good team. Like, um, a couple seniors who were really good, at my position, junior who was like, I think Doug Davis, when he retired, when he graduated, was like second all time leading scorer. Dan Mavridis was a senior. He was like really good player, played some years in Greece. Kareem Maddox was a forward senior that year. He's playing for the USA 3-on-3 team now,
Okay.
trying to qualify for the Olympics. And then guys in my class were really good. So we just had a stacked team.
Yeah.
And so I didn't play a ton my sophomore year, hardly at all, really. I mean, I got in here and there, like more situationally, like for defense and stuff. I could always defend at a high level. But I mean, I must have scored like single digit points my sophomore year.
Your sophomore year. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, just going back to your freshman year when you said you had mono, were you not able to get, even with you having mono your freshman year, you weren't able to have like surgery, like while having mono your freshman year? Because it seemed like you like waited to get over mono and then like had
Oh, well, the
surgery the
knee,
following year.
yeah, the knee, that was like months later. My knee like flared up. So I had mono like the second half of freshman year season. So like January, February, March. And then my knee thing happened in August, September of the following, or
Gotcha.
like,
Okay.
that summer.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I only asked that because you said you knew you heard it your senior year.
Oh yeah, it had
That's
been
why I
torn.
asked.
So like I had like, if I would like pull my leg, it would click like really loud because of whatever was going on in there. It was like that for 2 years.
Oh, got you. So freshman year, you barely. I mean, you don't play. Sophomore year, you go to the NCAA tournament. You experience all of that type of stuff, and you said you barely averaged 6 points or whatever the case. How
Oh,
was your
if
last two?
that 6 points would have been great.
Oh, you said less than
I
6.
might have scored, I might have scored 6 points the whole year,
Well,
sophomore year.
when I looked you up, I don't know what year it is, but when I looked you up, you had some season highs, I believe, like 15, 16.
Oh, that would have been my senior year. Yeah.
Oh, senior year. Yeah. So I was gonna
Yeah.
ask, like, so you kind of started your first 2 years off kind of rough, and
Yeah.
of course you stayed with it, but junior, senior year, did it get better for you?
Somewhat. So junior year, I had a chance to kind of like, um, I don't think I started the first game, but I played a lot of minutes the first game. I had like 5 or 6 turnovers and kind of got benched for a while after that. So I remember that being really hard on me personally. We had a good team again. I mean, we had a good team every year I was there. So it was always very competitive for playing time. Um, and, so that by that point, like we had TJ Bray playing, who ended up being like just an awesome career at Princeton, awesome pro career. So like I wasn't playing behind bums by any means. So, um, but it was definitely hard. And then, I kind of got back into the rotation second half of that year, um, and had some success before the last regular season game. I dislocated my shoulder again. Um, so that was tough. Having been through it already. It was the same shoulder, but decided not to have surgery because we had such a good team coming back for what would have been my senior year.
Senior year, yeah.
Had a really good class. We were like heavy favorites to win the league. So I tried to tough it out, and throughout that summer, I dislocated it like 3, 4 more times to the point where they're like, if you keep doing this, like you can get nerve damage. So I just decided to get the surgery. I was like, I don't really have a choice here, or my shoulder's just going to keep falling out all year. I can't get through like I was playing in the pro-am. I remember they had the pro-am
It's a green
for a couple of years.
green
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was playing, I was playing in like junior Cadogan. I remember was guarding me, played at Marquette.
Yeah.
Solid dude, right? He's trying to pick me up full court, and I went to like dribble the ball behind my back, and just that made my shoulder come out of its socket. Like I didn't even get hit. So really had no choice to get the surgery. And so that was like basically start of the school year, or what would have been my senior year. And another weird Ivy League rule is you can't redshirt. So in order to preserve my eligibility, I had to drop out of school for a year. So I came home and had the surgery, did my rehab in Milwaukee, and worked at Gruber Law offices for 8, 9 months, which was, it was fine. Not the group working at Gruber was great. Shout out to the Grubers.
Yeah.
I'm not, yeah. But being at home, I made the best of it. So, but it was tough because we had such a good, they still had a great team that year. And like last weekend of the regular season, they had to win like 1 or 2 games to get into the tournament and lost them both.
Wow.
So it was just kind of like really tough.
Yeah.
Kind of for my class in particular, and kind of to go out that way.
Jimmy, I didn't know that. So when you come home, you rehab, you work for Gruber, Shout out to Gruber. One call, that's all. Do you go back to Princeton, or would you?
Yes. So I had one more year. So I went back for my senior year. Um, and we started out great. I finally got into the starting lineup. Um, and we started the year like 10-1, I think. Um, we're kind of had it rolling. Um, and, and then, I ended up getting myself and two of my teammates got caught up in like a benefits scandal, if you will, where we had like someone who was working for the university, like had always been kind of a friend of the program. And he would like do favors, like we'd, uh, you know, store stuff at his house or like take the freshmen to dinner, kind of like modest things, but like, just looking out for the program. And this had been going on for 20, 25 years. But something happened where they that they somehow found out about this stuff and decided to crack down on it. I ended up getting suspended for 3 games, um, along with like two of my teammates.
Yeah.
Um, so that kind of like just threw me out of whack, um, and our season we ended up losing like our first Ivy League game, or two out of our first three maybe, because we lost at Penn, and then Harvard had an awesome team that year. They were ranked like top 25 all year. Lost to them right in the beginning of Ivy season, and without a conference tournament, you gotta make it happen in the regular season. So we were kind of cooked at that point, at least from a tournament standpoint. Um, and then personally, I kind of lost my role a little bit and came off the bench eventually later in the year. But we still won 20 games again, and I played my best basketball in college that year.
Yeah.
And had a great time doing it. So, it was, I kind of say all these things that make it sound like it was a tough time. But I guess maybe I should highlight the successes that we had as a team more so, because we had a ton of success and had like an awesome time despite all those kind of ups and downs, the times that I wanted to quit. But stuck with it with the help of some of my like former teammates who have graduated. So it was, it was awesome, and it prepared me for, the rest of my life and basketball playing career.
Yeah. 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 And listening to your story, man, just when you first got into Princeton, you missed your freshman year situation, sophomore year situation, junior year, and then you take off school for a year, Jimmy. I had no idea. And, granted you had to get, surgery, rehab, all that type of stuff. And I knew you were young at the time. That can break someone. And not to overlook that. I do want to know, like, how were you feeling around that time? Because I do like to talk about like mental health, because we all smile and laugh, like everything good. But let's be honest, we know you were a student athlete. But that time that you were back working for Gruber and had to do the rehab, like, did you have a mental breakdown? Like, what did you do to stay strong, like, going through that difficult time?
Yeah, there was definitely a point where I think in my junior year that I thought about quitting. And basically like reached out to, I mentioned Kareem Maddox earlier. I remember having a phone call with him, basically trying to get him to talk me out of it, which he did. So just trying to lean on my friends and parents, a lot of conversations with them, and trying to have an open dialogue with the coaches, too, as much as you could. Sometimes it can be hard with the head coach, so you got to work through the assistants, how that goes. But yeah, just, I mean, and just a certain level of pride, not wanting to feel like a quitter,
Yeah.
you know, at a certain level. Um, but really, I think thinking about what I would have been giving up is like all those basketball relationships, like those become your best friends.
Yeah.
And more so than feeling like you let yourself down, you feel like you'd let them down.
Yeah.
So kind of just came to that realization. Um, and, just not wanting to dwell on negative stuff too much, and I think having the perspective that I have now, um, it's easy to think back and be like, oh, I wish I would have, handled it differently or been more mature about certain things or not been so hard headed. But, you kind of have to go through those things to get to where you are now. And, hindsight's always 2020, but, those ups and downs, I think make you who you are today. So I think I feel, in a great space now, but I wouldn't be here without having gone through what I did.
Yep. That's very, very true, Jimmy. And I appreciate you sharing your story. I really do, because sometimes, man, when basketball, when the ball is done bouncing, some of us, you know, not just basketball players, but, people that play sports in general, it's hard to jump back into reality or jump into reality because we don't know what it is because when we play sports, we are given so many things. So for you to stay focused, go back and just went through all the adversity that you went through. I'm proud of you, little bro. I really am. Like,
I appreciate that.
yeah, 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 yeah. So, senior year, ending senior year, what did you graduate with? What did you wind up getting your degree, of course?
Yes, in economics. Yeah,
In economics. Okay, man.
super proud of
Congratulations.
that.
Yeah, for sure. That's cold, man. At Ivy League school? Yes, sir, Jimmy. All right, so after Princeton, you play 1 year in Germany as
Yep.
a professional. I want to know why 1 year? Were you like, was it injuries? Were you kind of like over basketball? Were you thinking about the future? Why 1 year?
I'll tell you why. So I get out there. I was healthy, my first kind of real healthy season and I didn't miss any games. Um, had a good year, wanted to keep playing. So that first off season after that pro season, I was training. I was back home and working out over at Athlete Performance over in Mequon, um, getting ready for year two, wherever that was going to be. But that same time, I started dating my now wife. I think we started dating that summer. And so I'd signed a contract to go play in Chile, in South America. And so Bryn, my wife, we were like, okay, well, we'll do the long distance thing. The contract is only through January, but I was going to probably try to go to Europe after that, maybe I don't know. We were just going to kind of try to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think at that point she trusted me because I'd known we met in middle school. We went to high school together but just didn't start dating until after college. But, as fate would have it, 3 days later, after I signed that contract, my agent came back to me and said, yeah, team backed out of it. They're going to go in a different direction. So that was like in August, I think. Time's winding down, as far as getting a deal. I was feeling pretty impatient, kind of disenchanted with the whole thing. Figured I'm sitting on this Princeton degree. I've got Bryn here, who I was, it was early on, but I knew her so well that, yeah, I just knew like something was there that I wanted to be around her. So it didn't take long. I think within a couple of days after I got that news, I just decided I'm gonna do something different. So that was really it. Like it might have been, I don't know if I thought about it quite long enough, you know,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
but I think my gut knew it was the right thing to do, and it was. So
Yep.
that's definitely made the right choice. And
Yeah, man. I know you did because every time you grab a drink, I see your ring.
oh yeah,
Yeah, so you made the
yeah,
right choice, and we always have to go with our gut, man. We always have to. And I wanted to know, because like I said, I played with you, against you, of course, in open gyms, and I knew how talented you are. You know what I'm saying? So I just I was wondering, like 1 year, like I thought Jimmy would have been about 7, 8, but we all
yeah.
have our own
Well,
journey and path, man.
yeah, and there was a 1 year like of devoted professional basketball, but I kept playing all the time
Yeah,
for 7, 8 more. I don't know. I was 24, so I mean, I've for probably 6 more years, and I played like 3-on-3 stuff and um, pick up every week in like a really competitive league. So I kept playing. I kept getting better. I felt like too. So I definitely got my fix
yeah, yeah, for
even
sure,
after I
for sure.
stopped.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that you won is it two you won two 3-on-3 tournaments? I know, or were they both Nike 3-on-3 tournaments in LA?
Those are yeah. So I mentioned those to you. Those were like super fun events um, that I was lucky enough to be given the chance to play in those. So I'll try to make a long kind of story short, but um, 3-on-3 basketball in the U.S. like started. You remember with Hoop It Up?
I was just
That
about to
was
say
kind of
with
the
Hoop It
first.
Up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's a Princeton alum. His name's John Rogers. He runs Aerial Investments in Chicago, but he was like 3-on-3 junkie, right? So he played in Hoop It Up in Chicago all through. He graduated in 1980, but he played all through the 90s or whenever they had Hoop It Up. Um, and then by the time like we come around, he's like sponsoring 3-on-3 teams, like kind of toward he's finishing up playing himself, but still wants to be involved. So he was generous enough to like fly a men's and women's team out to LA. He has like a home south of LA and hosted everyone. He's got like a half court at his house. We go out there and practice, have like a training camp
Yeah.
before the event in LA. So I got to play with 4 college teammates of mine, Kareem and Dan of Radies I mentioned, and then another guy, Craig Moore, who played at Northwestern. Um, like awesome shooter, Craig Moore, and just super smart player. So like with that group, we won that LA tournament in 2016 and 2018. So those were always super fun trips, and was able to kind of dabble in some other 3-on-3 stuff. Like got to play in the USA basketball national championship in 2018 out at the Olympic training facility. And just some other stuff here and there. But, those other guys, they took it to another level. Like I mentioned, Kareem is now on the USA team.
Yeah.
So you might see it's an Olympic sport now. So you might be seeing him in Paris in 2024. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
They got to qualify, but,
Yeah.
but yeah, 3-on-3 has been a pretty cool thing to be able to do.
Man, 3-on-3 is tough too. I remember I played in Hoop It Up. I played in the Hoop It Up and Racing. Listen, 3-on-3 is tough. Like if you don't play defense, you can get your ass kicked.
Nowhere to hide in 3-on-3.
Nowhere
A
to
lot
hide.
of space, the nonstop. And I don't know if you've seen any of the FIBA rules, but there's like a 12-second shot clock, I think, or 12 or 14. I can't remember which, but it's fast paced. Like they're taking it out of the net. There's no like check ball. It's fast, and I've never been more tired than playing FIBA rules 3-on-3. Like you're playing half court, but I swear it's harder than full court 5-on-5.
Yeah. already knowing it is. Hey, I play 3-on-3s now, man. You know, I'm at LA Fitness with the old guys, man. And yeah, that's the speed for me. Yeah. But you
Me too. Yeah.
yeah, oh Lord Jesus. We talked about that, Jim.
Yeah.
No way. Not doing it. But Princeton made it to the NCAA tournament and this year, and they made a nice little run. You've been an alumni. How did that make you feel? And were y'all running the same offense?
It looks a little different, but you know, a lot of the same kind of concepts, and you know, there is like a very strict like version of the Princeton offense, but really a lot of like the concepts is just like it's just playing basketball. Like if you're overplayed, you backdoor.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so a lot of dribble handoffs, which you see now, in the NBA at the NBA level, a ton of that, like playing through really like it kind of boils down to playing through your big. Um, like the Princeton offense at its best has a center who can handle pass, dribble, shoot. I mean, really, you could say that any offense is at its best when everybody can pass, dribble, shoot.
Yeah.
But I think Princeton was kind of at the forefront of having that be their center, right? And like if you remember the Sacramento Kings of the early 2000s, they ran a ton of Princeton offense because the guy who created it, Pete Carrill, Hall of Famer, coached Princeton for almost 30 years. He was on that staff. He was an assistant coach for those Kings teams.
Yeah.
And he actually just passed this year.
Oh.
So kind of circling back now to this year's Princeton team, kind of start the year with Coach Carrill passing away. And I wasn't close to the team or anything, but you have to imagine that was kind of a galvanizing thing for them. And they had a really good team. They had a super talented big to play through, Tosan Awoman.
Yes.
I think I'm saying his name correctly.
You know, I'm names, but
yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, they just kind of had the recipe, to make it work and make a deep run. And, is the same coach that I had my junior and senior year. So definitely, see some similarities in what they're running, but, yeah, I mean, just was incredibly proud to see them at that level and look comfortable doing it. Like they looked like they belonged. They played super well. I got a chance to go see them in the Sweet 16 in Louisville. So that was just incredibly fun. There was a huge turnout, like a ton of former players were there. So, I mean, I haven't been to the Sweet 16 since 1967. So it's potentially a once in a lifetime type event. So,
yeah.
gotta go see it. So that was, I mean, it was great to see.
Yeah, that's good, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. And just a couple things before I let you go, man. Life after basketball. Are you playing golf? Are you playing badminton, tennis? What you doing, man? Video games? What you doing, man?
Yeah. Aspiring golfer. I picked it up during COVID. I mean, I like grew up watching Tiger Woods, so always like appreciated the game. Didn't have a chance to play a ton when I was little.
Yeah.
It's obviously, if you've ever tried to play, you know how hard it is. It's the most frustrating sport maybe there is.
Hey, that's why everybody would hit the ball like Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, it's damn near impossible. So even when I'd like picked it up a couple of years ago, I almost quit like 4 different times. I was like, I can't do it, but I just stuck with it. I don't know. You just get the bug.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of my athletic endeavor. And just watching it. I mean, I still watch a ton of basketball. I became a big Bucks fan. Like the last, really since like 2015, or like since early after they drafted Giannis, been watching them a ton. So, and I just watch the NBA in general. So I mean, yeah, still very much basketball focused and interested, but golf, I'll get there. I don't know. I don't know where it'll end up, but I enjoy it quite a
Yeah,
bit.
take your time, man. It's no rush, man. It's no rush, man. You be good, man. But hopefully Bucks get it together next year. We just fell short yesterday. You being a Green Bay Packer fan, Aaron Rodgers with the New York Jets now. So yeah.
Tough week, you know. I think I was ready for Rodgers, you know. It just seemed like it was time.
Yeah.
But the Bucks that came quickly. Wasn't quite prepared for that.
Yeah.
That was a tough one.
That's true. That's true. No, but absolutely last question, man. What advice would you give, these young kids right now?
Good question. I would say, and it's not easy when you're young, but if I could go back and not change one thing, but if I could tell myself one thing, which I think is maybe the best way to answer this question, is just try to focus on process over results. That's the best way I can boil it down, right? So like you can I know personally, I got caught up so much in the outcome of games. If I played well, if I didn't play well, like just very emotional ups and downs with me. And I think for kids in general, that can be the case. You really can get wrapped up in if you're playing well or not. And, if you care about it, that's going to happen, right? It's unavoidable to some degree, but I never really learned that concept of, focusing on your process or trying to make that your main focus.
Yeah.
Right. Cause you grow up watching Michael Jordan, you learn, oh, you got to win no matter what. Right. And sometimes that's out of your control. So like, what do you have control over? Maybe that's another way to frame it is focus on what you can control.
Yeah.
And what you can control is your effort, your discipline to do things every day and just kind of stacking one day at a time, small gains every day and, living with the outcome. So I mean, I said a couple different things there, but I think just kind of trying to, focus on what you can control is what I would say.
Jimmy, it was great though. So these kids, even these young guys, you was in college when you went through these things and they may be going through some similar things you went through and they can still learn from it too. And even adults, so that was great advice, man. And I appreciate you so much for real, Jimmy, taking the time out your day, coming to the Barcode Podcast 414, baby.
Man, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, man, it was fun. It was fun, man. And like I said, I really appreciate it because I know you have a job, you got your career, you have your family, and you took time out your day to come support. So I really, really appreciate that, man. And when I come back to Milwaukee, man, if I can pull up, man, and we can,
Pull
just
up.
catch up,
Let me know.
barbecue. You already know how we do, Jim.
I still got to get the grill. That reminds me.
Come on, Jim. You're supposed to write it down.
Yeah, you know what? Make a note of it right now. I will not forget.
You gotta
I got to be ready for when you're in town.
Yeah, come on, man. I'll be there about like the end of May, beginning of June. So you got some time,
Cool.
man. Yeah. But there y'all go. Y'all have it, man. My boy Jimmy Sherburne put up to the Barcode Podcast 414. And make sure y'all tune in and subscribe. And don't forget, set the bar and stick to the code. We out.